Hi everyone, thank you for joining our webinar today on what workers really want from work in 2026. We have an hour booked for the webinar and we'll spend around 30 minutes on the presentation before moving to some questions at the end of the session. So you'll see from this page that this webinar is being hosted by Impact HR along with New Possible today. So New Possible was launched in 2021 and supports organisations globally to deliver people insights that really make a difference. We're really pleased to partner with New Possible to be able to bring you insights into the key findings from their What Workers Want report for 2026. There are a few of us supporting the webinar today, so some introductions. I am Juliet and I'm the Director of HR Operations here at Impact HR. We are supported by Grace Rogers, who will be supporting the background in collating all of your questions as we go. And from New Possible, we're joined by Nate Harwood, founder of New Possible, along with Ava Kaba, Data and Insights Lead. We are using GoToWebinar to host the webinar today. So for those of you that haven't used it before, you're all muted and we can't see you, but hopefully you can see us okay. So please type any questions you have for us as we go through the session, and depending on whether you're using the web version or the desktop version, you can navigate to the relevant part of the app to ask us these questions throughout, and we will be collating them in the background. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar. We'll also be asking you some questions today. So we have some polls that we're going to share throughout the session. So when we get to that section, there'll be a pop-up screen for you to choose the relevant response. So I hope by now that everyone is familiar with our new name of Impact HR. For those of you that might be new to us, just a bit of an introduction to who we are and what we do. We specialise in delivering HR solutions that are genuinely tailored to your business. We recognise that no two organisations are the same, whether you are a small or a medium-sized business preparing to grow, or a business that's a bit larger and you're looking to review or enhance your existing HR processes. We want to work flexibly with you to meet your specific needs. Our services are designed to be both comprehensive and adaptable. We can scale with you as you grow or change. We support you in improving operational efficiencies, remaining compliant with employment law, and ultimately freeing up your time so you can focus on what really matters to you, so developing your business and supporting your people. We have a strong understanding of the real and practical people challenges that are faced by SMEs, and our reputation here at Impact HR is built on expertise, hands-on support, and delivering meaningful results. We can provide support from creating your employee handbooks, employment contracts, all the way through to chairing disciplinaries or capability meetings, or guiding you through change programs like a redundancy or a GP consultation. We are here to support you every step of the way. We can work with you on a retained basis, pay as you go, or we can be engaged on specific projects. And because our services are bespoke, we know that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't always work. So when it comes to retainers, we tailor our solutions to suit the unique needs of your business. So that was an introduction to Impact HR, but back to the session today then. We will hear from Nate and Ava, who will discuss what workers want in 2026 and focus on these key objectives from the session. So identifying the latest trends around employee satisfaction at work, looking at their hopes, fears and priorities for the year ahead. Learn how expectations around flexibility, well-being and leadership are evolving. We will have an insight into what is influencing retention, motivation and high performance within the workplace. And we will understand what practical steps you can take now to stay attractive and competitive as an employer. And then understand how to build a people strategy that aligns with what employees actually value. So now I shall hand you over to Nate and Ava from New Possible, who will present their key findings. So over to you guys.
Well, thanks, Julia. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for your time this morning. So I'm Nate, I'm the founder of New Possible, and this is my brilliant colleague, Ava.
Yeah, I'm Ava, I'm the Senior Data and Insight Executive at New Possible.
Cool. So today we're going to share the results from our 5th edition of the annual What Workers Want survey. It captures feedback from over 2,000 employees across more than 20 sectors. Some of the graphics on this slide are a bit fuzzy. That's because we've got a few polls during the session. We didn't want to make them too easy for you. So the big headline stat is that 38% of workers said they're likely to jump ship in the next 12 months, which is in line with the year before. And we see some really big differences by sectors. So hospitality, again, came out on top, 58% likelihood to leave. That's up from 50% a year before. The big reasons are pay. So you can imagine a lot of workers in hospitality, retail, they're most exposed to the rising cost of living, but also hospitality operators too. Is a challenging environment for them, and that means maybe they're not hiring as many people as they'd like, and that means more work falling on fewer shoulders. And so we saw in hospitality, workload, work-life balance were key themes. On the other side of the table, we've got law, so at 15% likelihood to leave. Again, it was low last year too, about 19%. Key strengths in that sector, colleague relationships and flexibility too. Now, each sector has its own story, and the way we help understand that story is we've been working on this custom data model since 2021. We've been constantly training it, and it categorizes free text feedback into these 20 themes across me and my role, and also company specific too. So in what workers want, we asked, what do you like about working at the organization, and also what could be improved? All that free text feedback gets categorized into those themes, and we associated it with the likelihood to leave. And that gave us the top positive drivers, but also the top negative drivers as well.
So time for our first poll. The first question is, what's the top reason employees leave? Is it A, pay, B, leadership, or C, work-life balance? I think a poll should appear on your screen shortly to vote. Ooh. Give a few more minutes, a few seconds.
Yeah, so around half saying pay at the minute and a third saying leadership. Okay.
Great. So the answer is leadership, B.
Awesome. So yeah, so leadership was cited as the top reason employees leave. So employees who said they're likely to leave in the next 12 months, the top thing they talked about was leadership. Often when people are talking about leadership, they also talk about culture too. And you'll find culture is both the top reason employees leave, but also a top reason that they stay too. Now, one of the questions that we asked in the survey was, how would you describe your organization in 3 words? We love that question because it gives some really good insight between teams. Every team has a distinct personality. Every organization does. Every sector does too. And we looked at the top 30 words that were used, and we associated that with the likelihood to stay. And we can see that culture is described as empathetic, innovative, trusting. They were associated with the highest likelihood to stay, versus organizations described as uncaring, corporate, selfish. Now, we believe there's not necessarily a good culture. What's right for one organization is going to be different for another. Use an extreme example, a company like SpaceX. They might be described aiming to be innovative, ambitious, but also there might be a bit of a trade-off with demanding. So that might be right for their organization, but it won't necessarily be right for every organization. But yeah, we absolutely love that question, how you describe your organization in 3 words. So paid dissatisfaction was second, a key reason why people leave. You'll notice it's just on one side of this chart, and that's because it's a hygiene factor. So only when employees really see pay as being unfair does it have a significant impact on their likelihood to stay.
So time for our second poll. Is the average salary increase employees view as fair in 2026 higher or lower than 5%? I think the poll will appear now. We're just watching the answers come in.
Oh, it's very close.
Ooh. Okay. Should we reveal the answer?
Still a couple more coming in. Okay.
Cool. So the answer is higher than 5%, with workers viewing a 6.9% increase as fair in 2026, which is slightly lower than the 7.3% we found in 2025. We also found industry differences, with workers in hospitality, sales, and retail having higher pay expectations.
Cool. So as Ava mentioned, what people consider fair has decreased over the last couple of years since the Liz Truss year. We expect it will probably continue to go down too, as interest rates fall, inflation falls, and also the impact of minimum wage too settles a little bit. Cool. So a new theme actually for this year that came in the top 5 was autonomy. And really that links to a bigger story around freedom. So employees are looking for freedom in how they work, but also when they work and where they work too, that flexibility. And if we zoom in on flexibility a little bit more, one of the questions we asked is, when looking for a new job, what benefits matter most to you? And flexible hours came out on top. 70% said that was most important to them, followed by the ability to work from home and more holiday. But we noticed differences between age groups. We found across all age groups, flexibility was really important. But across the youngest age group, office perks and social events grew in importance. 25 to 34-year-olds, they were most likely to want the ability to work from home. 35 to 44-year-olds, flexible hours was highest for them. Preference was highest for them. Interestingly, for those aged 55 plus, the ability to work from home fell from 60% to 48%. It wasn't as important for that age group, but equally they were looking for more purpose from their jobs, more enjoyment from their job as well. So some really interesting differences by age. 63% of employers offer flexible working. That was up by on 3% versus last year. 24% don't offer it. And of those that don't, over half said they're likely to leave within the next 12 months. And we found that flexibility was a key driver behind retention. It's something that we see across our employee surveys that we run too. It's really, really key to employees. So the next section is going to have a little look at AI and AI adoption.
So for our final poll, the question is the percentage of employees who use artificial intelligence on a daily or weekly basis higher or lower than 50%? I think the poll will appear now.
So most people at the minute thinking higher than 50%. Cool.
Should we reveal the answer?
Yeah, let's do it.
The answer is lower than 50%, with 39% of employees using artificial intelligence on a daily or weekly basis.
That surprised me as well. I would have guessed over 50%. Yeah. So then the next chart visual looks at the percentage of employers encouraging AI usage, and that's the purple dot, versus the percent of employees using AI daily or weekly. So employees in marketing, technology, finance, they're using AI most frequently at the minute. But what's also interesting is looking at the gaps too, and we see the biggest gaps in law, in marketing, and also in education too. So that's the gap between employers encouraging AI usage versus the percent of employees actually using it daily or weekly. And I suppose education, law, it makes sense that those sectors are a little bit more prudent. But as one teacher said in the survey, they said all their students are using AI, all the teachers are using AI, and policy just needs to catch up.
We also found generational differences with AI adoption, with 51% of employees aged 25 to 34 using AI daily or weekly, compared to just 35% of those aged 55 to 64.
And this might be a really good opportunity too for sort of reverse mentoring. So one organisation we chatted with a few days ago, they've been getting some of the younger workers who are more frequently using this AI to bring to life some of the case studies where they have used that and sharing it with the wider organisation too. So there could be some really good opportunities there as well. And in general, people are quite positive about the impact of AI. Most people describing it as helpful, useful, efficient, making their life easier. There is a little bit of anxiety there, so you can see dangerous, scary, existential came up as well. Interestingly too, there's a couple of studies we've recently seen suggest that younger workers are more anxious about AI. We didn't actually see that in our data. That may well become more of a trend over the next year or two. Okay, cool. So yeah, we've got opportunity now for any questions.
Hi all. So we've had a question come through, just from someone asking, is there any link between AI usage and job security?
So we had a little look at this. So one of the questions in it was how secure people feel in their roles, how likely they think they could be made redundant in the next 12 months. Those that were using AI most frequently, we had a minor positive correlation. So just for context, it's a -1 to +1 scale. It was about 0.5 on the positive side. So yeah, this suggests there is a slight correlation there, but it will be interesting to see how that evolves when we repeat it again this December.
Great.
I say
Thank
most
you.
people are going to be quite optimistic about it, I think. So.
Great. And I've also had another question just come through. Someone's asked, where can I access the full findings?
Yeah, so the full findings, they're available. Just type in what workers want 2026 need possible, and you'll be able to access. There's loads more data in there too about well-being, for example, well-being between sectors. But yeah, you'll find everything there.
Great, thank you. I'll keep an eye on any that come through, but at the moment, those are the only two questions we've had for now. I have a question for you, Nate, if that's okay, if I can chip in. You mentioned about the reverse mentoring for AI, which I find that's really interesting. Is that something that came through to say people were doing it already, or was it just a suggestion that could be done moving forward?
It wasn't something that we saw it necessarily in the feedback. It's just that those age differences, those generational differences are so stark. And I know quite a few organisations, certainly in the last few years, have started to introduce reverse mentoring. And I felt like if there ever was a case for that, that graph suggests this may well be it. Interestingly, a lot of younger workers, they're using, it on the delivery side, and it's generally the older workers who are most likely to be in those senior roles, who's shaping the strategy. So I think if you can link those two together and share some of those stories of how it is being used day to day, that could be a huge opportunity for businesses, we think anyway. So.
Yeah, great, thank you. That'd be really interesting then to see how that's going to pan out over the next year or so. Me again, I've just had another question come through. So we've had working from home has become a standard, but with more employers seeking to insist employees return to the workplace, what impact do you think this will have on satisfaction or retention?
Absolutely. So I think we do find, as one of the slides suggested, and what we see from the surveys, it's a key predictor of retention. So I think that presents a lot of businesses a really great opportunity, because if your business is offering that flexibility more so than your competitors, you're going to be so much more attractive in the eyes of the potential employees. So I think it just presents businesses a great opportunity, but it also depends on having the right culture. And I don't think it's any coincidence that when you look at those top 30 words, trusting came right near the top, because you need the right culture. You need leaders that can trust people, that can empower people, that can enable them to manage their time during their day. So, but yeah, in summary, I think yeah, a lot of businesses are sort of JP Morgan, you know, encouraging people more to go to the office and mandating that more. But there's great opportunities, I think, if you're willing to embrace flexibility and keep offering it as part of your proposition.
Thank you.
Cool. Anyone who's on this webinar too, and we've got one more poll just to opt into this. But if you'd like to run an MP360 survey, so it basically captures feedback from satisfaction to well-being. At the end of it, you'll get a copy of all the responses. Individual responses are anonymous, and you also get a report too, featuring some benchmarking as well. If that's something you'd like to opt into, then I think a poll will just show on the screen, and we can set up that survey link for you. There's no obligation to, so we'll share the survey link with you, and if have a run through yourself, and if it is something you want to share with your people, you can just do so. Brilliant. Okay, cool. All right, I think I'll pass over back to Juliet.
Great, thank you both. That was really, really interesting. Some really insightful points there to have a think about now. I had put together a few key action points then to think about from the HR point of view moving forward from all of that data that you've gone through. So thank you. And I suppose to summarise, I'd put this together then to, number one, you've just mentioned it there in your answer to the question that came through, is to make flexibility a priority, really. So your findings showed that the flexible working is the strongest retention driver, and a large majority of employees without flexibility actually plan to leave within the year. So for me, the action that I would advise here is to review your organisation's current approach to flexibility through hours, place of work, autonomy, as you talked about as well, and just to make sure that all of that, what you've got on offer and what you've got available to your employees, actually does meet their expectations, not just in what the policy says, but actually what you do in practice as well. Next on there, I'd put strengthen leadership and workplace culture. So here, the dissatisfaction with leadership, as you mentioned in that poll, is the highest factor as to why people would leave, being and along with the culture as well, being the top reasons that people would consider leaving. So we would therefore advise to invest in your leadership capability, communication skills, and culture to really lead from the top and prevent that employee turnover that could otherwise be avoidable. So here at Impact HR, we can support with management training, bespoke training for new managers and experienced managers alike. And we offer e-learning access as well. So we have the whole spectrum available. If that's something that you'd be interested, if your organisation would benefit from that, then do get in touch. Next on the list, I've got support well-being before it impacts on performance. So as your report found that employees reported their well-being had declined over the past year, we would advise that organisations do proactively assess things like their workload, resources, work-life balance to reduce that burnout and maintain engagement with your workforce. And again, within Impact HR, we have a range of tools and support available that can help you to identify any potential issues in your workforce and try and nip it in the bud. And then I suppose the big topic of today is closing that AI readiness gap. And yeah, I found that the idea of reverse mentoring really, really interesting and a key point to take away from this. So given the stats of how many employees actually use AI day to day compared to those who've actually been trained in it, then the advice here, of course, is to put in clear guidance, clear training, and have policies in place to ensure that people know what the expectation is around the use of AI and data security within that as well. So again, something we can help with here at Impact HR in terms of putting that governance in place. So do get in touch if you need that robust policy around AI use. And finally, don't wait for retention problems to appear. As we've seen through your report findings, I was surprised by the number of workers who say they're likely to job hunt in the next 12 months, highlighting quite a mobile workforce this year. So again, we advise to regularly review your career development opportunities, pay positioning within the organisation, employee experience within the organisation as well, just to remain competitive. And if you don't currently have insight into this within your organisation, then as Nate and Ava have spoken about, it is something that New Possible can provide that insight into and give you support with. So if you would like that further information, then do get in touch with us. So after this webinar, we will share with you a link to the webinar recording so you can listen back to any particular sections that would be useful to you or your organisation. We'll share our contact details as well. And also for those people who had requested it in the earlier poll, we will share a link to the people experience report so you can see the full results as well. So just before I go, just wanted to give a little bit of a summary of what other support we can provide you through Impact HR. These are free tools that we have available on our website, so impacthr.co.uk. We have the Employment Rights Act checklist, so you can keep abreast of all the legislation that is changing and being implemented throughout the year, as early as April 2026, throughout the year and into 2027 as well. We have the HR benchmarking assessment, which can help you evaluate any key areas of your HR function and understand any areas that you might need to enhance, just to ensure your compliance, HR efficiency, and overall employee engagement. So linking into all of the stats that we've spoken through today. We also have a sexual harassment risk assessment as a tool, a free tool available on the website. It's one of the tools that is advised through legislation to prevent or to try and prevent sexual harassment in the workplace. The assessment can help uncover any potential vulnerabilities within the workplace, identify how you can reduce risks, and enable you to implement instant steps really to safeguard employees and the organisation. And overall, on our Impact Hub, you will find our webinar archive, so all of our previous recordings and all of our latest news and updates as well. And here is a bit of a summary really in terms of all of the other ways that we can support you from a HR point of view here at Impact HR. So as well as some of the points that we've mentioned today, and there's the key action points and the key takeaways from this webinar, we also understand that HR issues are more than sort of what we've covered today and more than day-to-day advice. So we offer hands-on support for all of these kinds of HR scenarios that can arise. So anything for sensitive, high risk or strategic people matters, we can be there to support you, whether it's a one-off project or part of a wider change, we can guide you every step of the way. So if you would like to have any support with any people matters or any HR issues that are ongoing at the moment, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And then I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out for our upcoming webinar. So our next webinar is going to be on the 17th of March at 11 AM, so next month, and we will be covering the Employment Rights Act. Where are we now? Or where we will be at that point in March. So if you want to join that, then the link is on our website or through our company LinkedIn pages, and you can register for that. So join me on the 17th of March to talk about what employers actually need to know about the Employment Rights Act. The webinar will follow on from our previous one that was held in November when it was the Employment Rights Bill, but now we are talking about the Act, and we'll cover the key changes that have been confirmed, the timelines as well for the implementation, focus on the new day one rights, fairness, consistency, and how this will reshape how we make our people decisions going forward. So details are on our website. And here is, skipped a page. I was going to share our contact details on there one last time for you. So just to say thank you to everybody for joining today. Thank you, Nate and Ava, for all of the really interesting information that you've shared with us today. And yeah, if anybody wants to get in touch, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.